Almost good afternoon. I think it was a great first half of the morning. I have the distinct pleasure of inviting up our next speaker and presenter. And as you've known, you've probably heard me say, because I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience, at IngramMicro, our goal is really to help all of you realize the promise of technology. But as we do that, we want to make sure we're helping shorten your sales cycle as quickly as possible. But I've heard a couple of themes today that we continue to hear. It's all about change, and it's all about complexity. So hopefully we're driving that complexity as this industry continues to change. But really the drumbeat of this industry is about innovation. You've heard a lot about innovation today. It is the drumbeat of our industry. And it's one thing that Serguei Beloussov, who is going to be joining me here in a minute, he really wears two different hats as it relates to that. He's the CEO and co-founder of Acronis, and he's also been an entrepreneurial entity for over 20 years. But I'd also say at heart, he's a technologist. He has co-authored over 200 patents and really has a deep understanding in virtualization, data center automation, and the cloud. And that's one reason why IngramMicro and Acronis continue to partner as we work forward as our partnership. In the cloud marketplace, we're serving nearly 20 different countries, as you heard earlier. With Acronis, we're offering their software, they're brokering their services to the cloud resellers, we're providing cloud solutions to those service providers, and really what that's doing is bringing innovation, growth, and opportunity to all of you. IngramMicro supports Acronis with things like extensive channel presence, helping deliver innovative solutions, and really the main thing is in a cost-effective and reliable way so you can solve for those business outcomes. So together we're putting our technology and business together to create value and drive growth for all of you in the room, just as Sergei is doing in his business. So I'd like you to please give a warm welcome to the CEO of Acronis, Serguei Beloussov. Sergei.
Okay. Hi, guys. I will try to be quick. Usually, I speak at every year for the past 10 over years at Odin Summit, which used to be called Parallel Summit. I am a founder of Parallels, and I was running it for 10 years as a CEO. And so one of the reasons you guys are here is because IngramMicro has focused on the cloud, and one of the reasons I'm here is because IngramMicro have bought part of Parallels business, which is called Odin, and it's now the platform for IngramMicro cloud business. Now, since I stopped being a CEO of Parallels, they kept me as a speaker in Odin, but every year they pushed my speech further and further away. And so typically it was a 2 days event, and it would start with a keynote from the CEO, Birger Steen, and then I will be at the very last day. And what I see as a positive development from Ingram is that I'm not the last speaker on the summit anymore. So that's definitely something good. I hope you guys know what is Parallels. Parallels is not just Odin automation, which I'm sure Ingram will have you learn by heart, but it's also Virtuoso Plesk, and it's also remaining Parallels business, which is Parallels Remote Application Server, Parallels Desktop. After I stopped being the CEO of Parallels, I've created a venture fund family, which also invested in many of prominent cloud companies. For example, NGINX. How many guys here know what is NGINX? Okay, you see many people, but basically NGINX is a new generation cloud application infrastructure. MariaDB, which is quickly winning the market from MySQL, replacing MySQL with a newer version of MariaDB. We also co-funded OpenExchange, which is a competitor of Microsoft Exchange, and companies like Cloud Linux, evidently from the Nate related to the cloud, and Equid, which is one of the leading e-commerce packages for small businesses. Now, in 2013, I've realized that being an investor is not what I really enjoy, and I've also realized the huge opportunity of Acronis and I came back to run Acronis as a CEO. So I'm already running Acronis for almost 3 years as a CEO. I came back to the company, which was shipping software, backup, disaster recovery, file sync, and share. It's hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. It's 700 employees, over 350 engineers, 500,000 partners, 5 million consumers, 500,000 businesses as customers. And we have products selling in 150 countries in 18 languages. One thing which is quite important, when I came back to run Acronis, Acronis had 0 revenue in the cloud. And over the past 3 years, we have transitioned the company to a completely new business, and today it's 25% of its revenue is coming from the cloud. More importantly, cloud business is growing at about 1,000% per annum. So Acronis is really focused on the cloud, and we really want to build it into a big company. Well, I'm here to talk about more general things than Acronis, and so first, I wanted to point out about some trends which have already changed the world. One of them is cloud. You know, there are different ways to talk about what is the size of the cloud industry. From my standpoint, the industry spends already over $200 billion directly and indirectly on cloud services. And so everyone has unlimited access to vast computing resources. In fact, Eric Schmidt recently said that by the end of the decade, everybody on Earth will be connected to the internet, hence the cloud. Now, the next trend, which has already changed the world, is mobile. There are 7 billion mobile subscriptions, as many as people, and that means everybody at any point of time has access to very fast computing resource. So Galaxy S7 CPU is 20x faster than IBM Deep Blue. My company sponsors Magnus Carlsen, who is a world champion of chess, and he told me that he loses 7 games out of 10 to iPhone 5. So probably to a new iPhone, he will lose 9 games out of 10. He's champion of chess. And the next thing, which is pretty clear, is that everybody is using social, and social makes, becomes part of our life. You know, some recent development in social is helping Hillary to improve her image amongst younger people. And so perhaps all of you, if you are American citizens and participate in an election, to form an opinion about Hillary and her campaign, should immediately sign up for Snapchat. Now, these meta trends these trends which made computing, vast computing resources available to everyone at any point of time and used at all the time, created a number of meta trends. And these meta trends are things like sharing economy, instant messages, data-driven automated education, data-driven automated government, data-driven automated healthcare. You know, you guys are IT community. For you, these trends mean a lot of the opportunity to provide new generation cloud architecture-based applications to these industries. And they are quickly merging IT with the rest of the world. And so the way I like to talk about cloud is that from my standpoint, cloud is dead. Everything in IT now is cloud. And cloud is primarily about cloud architecture. It's about Metcalfe-Law, which is value of the network is very high. It's about web standards, which is effectively network effect and software. Now you can integrate and create a solution not just for one company, but from a huge number of components which will fit together. And it's about scale-out architectures, which allow to scale to unlimited number of users and decrease cost per user. Now, from my standpoint, everything technology is IT. There is no technology anymore which does not involve IT, or almost no technology. Almost everything has a CPU and memory. Almost everything will have an operating system, and almost everything has a software applications. And on top of it, everything in the world is becoming technology. Every business processes are related to technology now. Every personal processes are becoming related to technology. And in fact, almost all of the objects in the world are becoming a device. It's not yet like this, but that's what's happening. So I wanted to talk a little bit, what are the next big trends? So first of all, one thing which puzzled me, especially at the point when I decided to at some point exploit an investment career, is what actually is a good business about. And I've realized that there are sort of 3 things which is good business is about. One of them is productivity, and that's historically related to IT, saving time, making us more efficient. IT was about making productivity. The next thing is about making money, directly making money, or on something. And the last sin is satisfying some primary instincts. Of course, there are two other sins which are not necessarily good business, such as eternal glory. This Julian Assange is very famous. I'm not sure he's going to make a lot of money from his fame, and world domination. That's not a good business. Now, if we talk about the trends, first about saving time. What are the trends in technology which are about saving time right now? So one of them is Internet of Things. Clearly, many people before me mentioned that Internet of Things is getting there, and we expect that there will be 50 billion devices by 2020, from about 15 billion devices now. So it's growing very, very fast. Next thing is robots. Robots are getting everywhere. This is just some example of telepresence robots. Telepresence robots is a huge market on its own. Just telepresence market are expected to be about $13 billion this year. Generally, robots are getting into every part of our lives. Drones, another big trend. By February 2016, FAA approves more drone registrations than normal flying objects, aircrafts. And this is a picture of a Chinese drone which can fly you around. And it's going to fly you at 100,000. It costs about $100,000, and it will fly you at about 100 kilometers per hour. And finally, the other trend here is self-driving cars or connected cars. Elon Musk promises that he will have a Tesla fully autonomous by 2018 and available for mass production by 2021. Again, one thing which is very interesting about Tesla is not that it's a good car, but it's really a computer. A computer which can be upgraded, which can have applications installed. And again, you've heard other speakers talking about cars becoming platforms. And the other trend which is improving productivity is 3D printing. Clearly, 3D printing itself is a big industry, but more importantly, it's going to change a lot of industry because a lot of things which we do not customize today are going to be customizable. Now, from my standpoint, the trends which are improving productivity are good trends, and they typically are relatively slow to develop. If you think about all these things, none of them is actually new. People talk about self-driving cars maybe as far back as 20 years ago, and they talk about 3D printers also 20 years ago, and drones and robots, there is nothing new about them. And Internet of Things, I think I remember at the very beginning of the Internet, people talked about it. And the reason why is improving productivity takes changes of human behavior, and changes of human behavior take time. So those trends are very big trends. They're big already today, but they're developing slow. Some trends are a little bit faster, and I have two examples here. The trend number 6 is a fintech revolution. Clearly, banks and financial institutions under attack from all directions, specifically under attack from new generation things in technology, things like blockchain and Bitcoin specifically. And you can make money on money with Bitcoin, and you can make money on digital things with blockchain. Then big data is a big trend. I don't have time to discuss it here, but big data is a way to extract money from data. Making money on data is a big trend. And both of those trends are relatively new, and they're growing very fast. Now there are trends which are the most interesting trends, and which are sometimes hard to predict that they will grow so quickly. And these trends are about satisfying primary instincts. Example of such trend, which was probably difficult for us to understand, was social networks. Probably many of us being a little older generations than the young kids, it took us some time to get on social networks. And what we've seen from the presentation of René, not many of you use Snapchat. By the way, I don't use Snapchat, right? But these trends are about satisfying primary instinct, about, for example, being part of the community. And so such trends include wearable technology, growing very, very quickly already today. This is an example of nice-looking watch, which is actually a smartwatch. Virtual reality, amazingly promising trend, which supposed to create a $70 billion market, mostly around communication and collaboration by 2020. Artificial intelligence, which is making all devices around us smarter, making them learn as we use them. Safety, privacy, and security, huge trend, obviously. You've heard a lot about it. It's actually, I'm going to talk a bit more about it in the rest of the conversation. But as we move to the digital world, all of a sudden, everything becomes vulnerable, and safety, security is a huge trend. And finally, Moore law is dead. The law, which is created by Gordon Moore 50 years ago and was about multiplying the power of CPUs, is actually already not working. And so the computing architecture itself is going to change dramatically over the next 10 years, creating new generation architectures like this computer, the machine created by HP. But again, there are many alternatives for new generation computing. So what is important in this trend for you, for IT community, for resellers, for distributors, for service providers? So first of all, the most important thing is cloud, and that's why you are here on Ingram Cloud market. Private and public cloud are a massive share of IT market today. Almost everything in IT is now sold to the cloud. So unless you do cloud, you are at a risk to lose your business. Cloud service providers, which are part of this audience and part of what we hope to bring to Ingram with Odin, are huge IT buyers. They buy hardware, they buy software, they buy everything. And what they do for the end customers, they manage costs, they manage product, and they integrate different services. And that's what if you want to work with them, you need to enable that. And another thing which is very important trend, we clearly see fast growth of original design manufacturers. As computing getting consolidated, buying branded servers is no longer important. Companies like HP, Dell, and so on, IBM has already escaped this by selling a piece of its business to Lenovo, are under attack. Nobody cares anymore about the brand of service. The servers are managed by service providers. There is a lot of things which are new in business, such as automation. Most of modern businesses need to be completely automated. In automated business, we see more and more disintermediation. And of course, Ingram is all about partners, but in many cases, you see vendors selling directly to customers and customers dealing directly with vendors. Application stores and marketplaces, I think definitely you see that this is being a trend, that is automated way of buying IT. Changes in buying behavior, selling experience, not a product, social brand conversion, and real-time analytics and management. These are changes in business which are already affecting us. Now, historically, when you talk to companies in distribution or in resale, you always talk about what is the major, most important partner for you. And historically, it has been Microsoft. Over the past years, Microsoft lost its sort of dominant state. I've recently seen a picture where most of computing was done on Microsoft platform right about 15 years ago, and it's now much more of it is done on Google. So who is next Microsoft? Is Microsoft going to recover and be as dominant? Seems there are good signs. Google, can you do business with Google? Amazon, open source and standards, can you make money on this? What is going to happen to these big IT companies, which are vendors like Cisco, HP, IBM, Dell, Oracle? All of this is actually a big question and something which will affect you directly or indirectly. Perhaps other trends which will affect you soon, I don't have time to go into detail here. I'm sure they will make my presentation available. You can read this small text. I'm pretty sure it's very readable at the end of the audience. But fintech, there is something which you can do with fintech. Can you integrate with some of the online API-driven financial institutions to enable better customer experience? Logistics, part of the distribution, resale, and service business is logistic, and logistic is under change with all these self-driving cars, drones, immediate delivery, and so on and so forth. Big data, definitely a huge opportunity, but a very different way of doing IT projects. New generation security and privacy. There are many companies in this space, including many companies threatening traditional companies like antivirus. Virtual reality, potentially huge opportunity. I'm pretty sure almost nobody here is making business with virtual reality just yet. And finally, perhaps not so important trends for you just yet, 3D printers, Internet of Things, wearables, robots, artificial intelligence, next generation computing, not yet quantum computing perhaps. One of the things about all these trends, they make the world, the physical world we live in. The physical world I was born in, where you can hide and go some remote cabin and be inaccessible, to a completely digital world. And if we actually think about what is singularity, my definition of singularity is when digital world will become bigger than physical. And that's going to happen very soon. Today, physical world is more important. 50 years ago, clearly digital world is bigger and more important than physical. And in the physical world, we had basic needs, which are well known: air, water, food, and shelter. And I believe in the future, there is another new need. Today, every personal business process is conducted with digital data. Data volume is exploding, and data is becoming ever more valuable. And so I believe data management, storage, and protection is one of the basic needs of the future. Without protecting and managing your data, you will not be able to conduct business. You will not be able to conduct your life. Data is super important, and this is one of the largest meta trends in IT. I mean, this is a slide which I put here because I recently visited Sistine Chapel, and they gave me some additional insights about this famous Michelangelo paintings, talking about the fact that the God is actually pictured on the scene, which is of shape of a human brain, and that he takes a soul and puts the soul into Adam here. But I think there is something which I'm personally very, very passionate about. And this passion is about these things which are directly connected based on latest accomplishments of mathematics and physics. It's free will, privacy, which leads to control. And apparently, freedom, soul, security, all of the things are related to the three basic concepts. Free will, if you believe in free will or not. Free will directly related to privacy. Apparently, you cannot prove privacy without free will. And effectively, privacy is about control. And what we're doing in Acronis now with a new generation products, a new generation architecture, we're building a complete cloud platform for data management, which offers full control, gives full control to partners and customers. We intend to provide any protection, archiving, backup, cloud storage, disaster recovery, e-discovery, file sync and share for any workload. It is important. Workload could be in the cloud or it could be on-premise. We want to protect all of your data, which would enable to support moving this data for protection and management into any storage in any combination. Could be storage in your place, storage in the cloud with somebody like Amazon or Azure, storage in both places, storage on-premise for some data here, some data there. It is important that customers have to have a complete control of where the data is, how many copies of the data there are. And with that, I just want to complete my speech. I want to point out that if you think about pharaohs, they lived 6,000 years ago, and they tried to build these pyramids to achieve eternity. How did they achieve eternity? They left their own DNA in the form of the mummy, which is not so stupid if you think. If you want, you can restore perhaps some pharaohs today, create a copy, and then they left some digital data, that they left the writings on the wall of the pyramids, which describe their lives, describe their families, describe their behavior. And so from my standpoint, protecting data and managing data, it's extremely important. In fact, everything which be left of us in the world is data. And so data is about living in the future. You cannot conduct business or personal life without taking care of your data. But data is also about staying forever. So it's sort of a very philosophical thing for us. And it's very important because it's so important that you have to give control to the customer, to the guy who owns the data. Or the customer may delegate control to any form of partner. It's up to the customer to choose what to do with data. I encourage you to sell and use our products. I encourage you to listen to John Zani, who is talking tomorrow, Wednesday, about how to make money with Acronis Cloud Solutions at 3 p.m. at Grand Canyon Room. It will be very interesting. In fact, the largest opportunity in the cloud is not about Azure. And it's not about Office 365. You guys are all confused about it. Of course, Microsoft spends a lot of money to confuse you, but don't believe them. The largest opportunity is data protection. It is by far the largest opportunity. Because with data protection, you will have control or allow control of customer data, which gives you controls of your margin. Long-term control of the margin only is possible in this business. And business is about making money, not about making revenue. So partner with Acronis, we're building a $100 billion company. Follow my Twitter. We are crazy about Acronis. I actually made Acronis tattoo. Any of you, if you want to make a Acronis tattoo, we can sponsor you. Thank you for your time.